What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Jedi Jive. My name is Mike, and joining us again is my sister Jenny.
Hi, guys.
We got the Loki finale finally.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually kind of nervous a little bit.
That's funny. That's the exact same reaction I was having earlier. I was like, I'm a little bit nervous. Last week, I know we disagreed a bit, but we were left with an absolutely visually gorgeous episode that, for me, both narratively and philosophically, had a lot of holes in it. And I think I'm feeling a little bit nervous because I'm hoping for more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping for better this week, but I don't really know exactly what to expect.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping at least for some philosophical consistency.
Yeah.
And ideally, maybe some unexpected twists and turns, maybe some, cliffhangers, maybe some unanswered questions, which I'd be good with.
Definitely unanswered questions. I'm gonna predict that for every answer we get, we're gonna get 10 more questions.
Always.
And this show, unlike the previous two, doesn't necessarily feel like it has the burden of feeling like it has to wrap everything up.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we may actually end up disappointed in a way at the end of this, in that questions won't be answered, and we're gonna be like, oh, gotta wait until next season.
Yeah.
And that we're gonna not necessarily get everything right, that we want right now, and that might leave us feeling a little disappointed. So we want to be ready for that. We don't necessarily.
I'm trying to remain open to that because we do know that season 2 is already in development, and I think I will actually be, at least in one sense, satisfied. Like, I'll be logistically satisfied if we do end up with some open-ended questions.
I want the finale to be a banger, but I'm also expecting it to not necessarily get us where we want to right away.
So any main predictions or hopes?
Yeah, anyway, I think that a lot of people are, the big question on the table is like, oh, is it a Loki variant in that time castle, or is it Kang? Those are the two most popular opinions.
Yeah.
The theory that we kind of agreed and came up with was that this show is about Loki, and it's about him confronting himself. So it does make sense that he would confront himself, but not necessarily. I don't think it's going to be another Loki. I have a feeling the castle is going to be empty, and that it's going to be our Loki is going to come upon the opportunity to take over the universe, and that thing that Mobius said to him, where he was like, you can still choose to be a good person.
You can be whatever you want to be, including someone good.
The choice in front of him to if I'm going to be God, essentially, do I want to be a good God, or do I want to be
That's kind of, I don't know if it's literally going to be empty or if it'll be a more metaphorical version of confronting himself, but I do agree that this is a show about identity. Mm-hmm. This is a show about Loki. It's called Loki. He and the many facets of him and his variants are the main character here. Yeah. So I don't think we're likely to get a huge new character reveal.
No.
Right now. I think the show needs to fade. Maybe, but I think the show needs to stand on its own. Yeah. Not as an accessory to the films. And I think that the show has to keep sort of the eye on the prize of its own mission. So I think it is going to be some version of Loki coming face to face with his own truths. Yeah. I think perhaps they may have to battle Ravonna Renslayer at some point. She might catch up with them. There might be some sort of time loop involved. We don't really know. My lingering questions are about the origins of the TVA and the true nature of Miss Minute. I think that's some real conspiracy mystery stuff that we still haven't got any answers to. Yeah. So that's what I'm looking for this week.
Right. All right, guys, let's jump right in.
All right.
Let's do it. Men in Black.
What's Men in Black?
Black holes.
Galaxies around black holes.
Oh, shit.
Oh, this is surrounded by the cosmic interdimensional highway. It's like they're in a black hole almost.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Nothing spooky about this.
It's got that, broken and put back together with gold look.
Yes.
Like it was shattered once and then put back together.
What is that art form called?
Maybe.
Japanese, I think. I called that last week. I did.
He's impressed.
Who's impressed?
He who remains.
Okay. He who remains.
At the end, it is only he who remains. And he's worked it out so we can reinsert both of y'all back into the timeline in a way
no
sales.
No sales,
no deal.
Sister.
How would you like to win? But not just there. You can kill Thanos.
How much has he actually changed and evolved is the question.
You want the Infinity Gauntlet? Yours.
We called it so far.
I literally called Miss Minute.
And you can have it all together.
Don't believe you.
Don't believe anyone who says you can have it all.
It's fiction.
We write our own destiny now.
Yeah.
That's the consistency I'm looking for.
Good luck with that.
Ooh.
Okay.
Come on.
I knew she had something to do
I mean,
with
I also
this
called
mess.
it that they would like show up and there would be like a butler,
You
maybe
did.
Miss Minute.
I
That would be like,
literally
I've been
said Miss
expecting you.
Minute.
Yeah.
I knew it was gonna be that bitch. Oh, she wistfully looks at his coffee rings.
What took you so long?
Sorry, some things had to get worked out, but I'm downloading the files you need now.
This isn't what I asked for.
I know, but he thinks this'll be more useful.
Look at her menacing expression.
Happy reading.
She's sketchy.
He who remains.
Not for much longer.
Are we sure he's even still alive?
On guard.
It's Kate!
Whoa!
Dude, what?
Wow.
This is wild. The two of you, same person.
He's got an apple.
Yeah, like the apple of discord, the apple from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
Come on, let's talk. From my office.
Wow, that was just like literal, like no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
And I've talked about the color purple on the villains.
You
and-
have.
yep.
You did say that.
A man.
Flesh and blood. Don't tell me I'm a disappointment.
Just a little bit easier to kill.
He's a bit of a trickster himself.
Yeah.
As are they.
Come on in.
Menacingly friendly.
Yeah, he's friendly like a leprechaun. He's gonna steal all your shit if you look away.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I would drink anything this dude gave me.
They're so cautious. Right? Slow moving.
I mean, wouldn't you be?
Yeah.
I said I wasn't to be disturbed.
Well, you're not going to be happy to see me.
He's got a stick too. Does he want a pruner?
So you're gonna prune me?
I like that idea.
Our mission.
Mission?
Pruner.
Timekeepers are fake.
Hunter D90 to my office immediately. What did you do?
Started a revolution. There's my girl, my favorite. Hopped back onto the
Okay, there's
timeline.
more of those pens.
Stand down, B-15.
You need to listen to me.
There'll be time for that.
Just wait.
What the hell is going on here?
Ooh,
Okay.
Translator.
What?
he's proving to
What
Yeah.
the hell are you doing in my school?
this dude that she's
That isn't Judge Renslayer. We have a lot to talk about.
Nice. All right, dude.
Smart move.
You've lost. We found you.
Duh. Of course you did. Oh, a swing of a miss. You can't kill me. I already know what's going to happen.
That page from the opening episode.
Every step you took to get here paved the road. You just walked down it.
You know what would happen if we didn't prune the timeline?
What?
Chaos. Death.
Free will?
Huh.
You betrayed me.
No, you betrayed me.
We can't take away people's free will, Ravona. What are you doing?
What I need to do.
Look, maybe we can build this into something better.
I'm sorry, Mobius. Please, Mobius. You're of no danger to me.
Is that what you think? Let's see. Yep, you're right. Where are you gonna go?
In search of free will.
And just who are you?
I've been dubbed many names by many people. A ruler, a conqueror,
Mm-hmm.
he who remains.
They're making Kang and He Who Remains the Same here.
A variant of myself lived on Earth in the 31st century. He was a scientist, and he discovered that there were universes stacked on top of his own.
Multiverses.
Other versions of us were learning the same thing. For a while, there was peace. I love your shoes. I love your hair. Oh, man. Nice nose. Thanks, man. Not every version of me was so pure of heart. The peace between realities erupted into all-out war. Each variant fighting to preserve their universe.
And then the timekeepers came along and saved us all.
What a clown.
And I ended the multiversal war. Once I isolated our timeline, all I had to do was manage the flow of time and prevent any further branches. Hence, the TVA. Cosmic harmony, hence... You're welcome.
For you, but like genocide for everyone else.
If you think I'm evil, just wait till you meet my variants.
Or you're a liar.
Mm-hmm.
So you just continue to prune innocent timelines?
You two would. There's two options. One, you kill me and destroy all this, and you don't just have one devil, you have an infinite amount. Or you two run the thing.
You're lying.
Be the god of time.
Why would you give up being in control?
Buddy,
I'm tired.
I'm tired. You kill me, and the sacred timeline is completely exposed, multiversal war, or you take over, return to the TVA as its benevolent rulers.
Kill him! Multiverse! Let's go!
Multiverse. Bring in Doctor Strange and Wanda.
Why does he look unsure all of a sudden?
We just crossed the threshold.
This is new.
What's going on?
I fibbed earlier when I said I know how everything is going to go. I knew everything up to a certain point, and that point was about 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds ago.
Because they have an option now. Kill him or don't kill him.
Now your free will kicks in. Oh, see the branches starting to branch?
You plunge your blade in my chest, and an infinite amount of me start another multiversal war, and I just end up right back here anyways.
Let's go. Bring on the multiverse.
And kill him!
Oh, they're gonna fight each other now.
Yeah.
What if he's saying the truth?
So what?
He's still
I believe
tempted
him.
to be
You
the
believe
god
what?
of
That
time.
a bazillion boogeymen are going to turn up just because we give people free will?
But maybe he was telling the truth.
Better hurry! Timeline's already branching.
So what are you suggesting?
I'm just suggesting we think about it. I know the TVA has hurt us both, but what if by taking him out, we risk unleashing something even worse? I promise you from my heart, this isn't about a throne.
What was I thinking, trusting you?
That's what you think of me. Oh, you never trusted me, did you?
Why aren't we seeing this the same way?
Because you can't trust, and I can't be trusted.
Yeah.
Pretty much Team Sylvie right now. I'm sorry. None of that is a good excuse for dictatorship.
Sylvie, stop. Stop.
This is where he was right before he got pruned. Hands on her shoulders.
I don't want a throne.
I want you.
I just
Say it.
Don't.
Don't say it.
I just want you to be okay.
Jeez.
So awkward. No, I hate it.
Is Kang enjoying the show?
Oh, he definitely is. I, however.
But I'm not you.
Yeah, I'm still Team Sylvie.
Incredible.
God damn.
See you soon.
That means Sylvie unleashed the multiverse?
I'm here for it. Yeah, there it goes.
Yep. Infinite branches,
Yeah.
too. Yeah, yeah.
like capillary.
That looks very neuronal.
I was like, it's capillary blood vessels happening.
No turning back now.
Who said anything about turning back?
That's right.
For all time.
Always.
Always.
Wait. I've got an idea.
We freed the timeline. We found him. He's terrifying. He planned everything. He's seen everything. He knows everything. It's complicated. Countless different versions of a very dangerous person, and they're all set on war. We need to prepare.
Take it easy. What division are you from?
What are you talking about?
Who are you? What's your name?
Whoa.
Who are you?
Oh, shit. Oh, dude, what? Oh, shit. Okay, so Kang is the single timekeeper now in this timeline.
This timeline that has been created.
Jesus. Oh. That was definitely a very slow paced episode.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, like, kind of the things that we predicted all came true. Like, we didn't predict that it was going to be Kang, but we were like, we had
Well, the funny thing is that for weeks and weeks, we have.
No, I know, but I meant, like, we kind of got both options. And that, like, it was, like, a butler there, which was Miss Minutes, that was like, I've been expecting you, which is kind of what we said. And then Kang ended up being sort of, it's hard to describe his behavior. Like, he was, like, you called him a clown.
He was puckish. He was like a leprechaun or a little trickster. He seemed like this impish little boy king.
Oh, actually, you know what? Hold on. We never actually heard the name Kang said.
No,
here.
He said Conqueror.
He did say Conqueror, yeah, but he never said his name.
But we know that Jonathan Majors is cast as that character. He's going to appear in Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Quantumania. It's so strange because for weeks, we spent weeks following the clues that they did give us. Whether it was Eliath or the castle or the presence of Ravonna Renslayer, the Kang Industries on that Avengers Tower in the Wasteland. You know, they gave us one clue after another.
And we didn't get bonered.
No, and we didn't want to get bonered. We were like, well, they're giving us all of these clues. It has to be Kang, or it's just another Ralph Boner. It's just, if those are all red herrings, that's not us, that's them.
Yeah.
And then as of last week, we really second-guessed ourselves and went, wait, they're not going to introduce a huge new character at the last minute. They're probably going to keep things simple and keep the focus on Loki. And I had really convinced myself that my earlier theories were wrong.
Yeah.
And then I was a little surprised how simple that reveal was. They just walked in, and I did call that Miss Minutes was going to be the butler. I have said that. I was like, she's the secretary that tries her hardest to keep you out of the office if you don't have an appointment. Right? Who's like, he's not in right now.
His exposition almost seemed like, for a moment there, I was like, this is too obvious. This is too upfront. They're just giving us this so plainly that there's going to be some catch to the situation, but there really didn't end up being one.
Until the very end.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like we had that moment of like seeing Kang in the elevator or whatever when the door opened or whatever. And we're like, oh my God, it is him.
Yeah. It's actually
but
just
other
him.
than that, the actual shock moment of this episode was that very ending where we realized that, okay, so there's branched timelines now, and now there's presumably infinite TVAs with infinite Mobiuses and
and whichever one she's kicked him back into as the branching was happening.
That Mobius didn't know him.
Branched off into some direction where this Mobius and this B-15 don't know him, and presumably his Mobius and his B-15 are out there somewhere in that infinite neural network that's been created. But not this one.
Yeah.
So here's the thing for me. We've had a lot of debate about whether there is a good reason for the TVA to exist or not. We all agreed very early on that their methods, their ways of doing business were sus and, fascistic and authoritarian, not okay. But we've had a lot of debate about, but under all of that, setting aside the questionable methods, is there a good reason for them to be there? And the very sort of surfacey, superficial, obvious conclusion to draw, both from Kang's exposition and from that and seen would be like, oh, wow, we really did need the TVA all along.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still not convinced that's true. What I just keep thinking of is not only, like I said, I'm not sure that dude, that sort of silly, unserious dude, has earned the right to be the arbiter of all existence.
Yeah.
But also, I think about like some of the reference points that we definitely did get earlier in the series, like the Mussolini, Big Brother, authoritarian imagery. And I think about like how a war had to be fought, to whether in actual World War II or in the book 1984, a war had to be fought, right?
Mm-hmm.
To depose those figures. And I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, well, World War II, that was great and like awesome. Nobody thinks that, thousands and thousands and thousands of people died. But I also don't think the better choice would have just been to let Mussolini and Hitler have their way with Europe.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, well, we have to protect the timeline, so let, Mussolini and Hitler decide who gets to live and who dies.
Mm-hmm.
No, like, their way wasn't good either. And although the war was also a tragedy, it had to be fought in the interest of preserving people's right to self-determination.
Yeah.
Right? So I think, like, why does... It's really unfortunate that we're going to have this big time war, multiversal war now.
Yeah.
And that there will be casualties. But how do you sort of restore the balance of free will to the universe? Revolutions are never, ever bloodless, but they are frequently righteous.
Yeah.
In their sort of fundamental state.
Yeah.
So I just keep thinking about this war that's coming. This has to happen.
Yeah.
And it's not all hope is lost. This is still a Disney show. Like, they're gonna fight their battles, and ultimately, I believe, justice will prevail.
But also, like, the main reason we were unsure whether, even though it seemed obvious it was going to be Kang, we were still unsure was because we knew he was slated to be in Ant-Man 3, and we're like, well, they're going to save his introduction for that,
for
or
Ant-Man.
if they were going to put him here, it was going to be like a little tease of some kind.
Yeah,
that's obviously not the case.
Surprised by like how they just brought him right in. And as much as I keep saying, like, oh, he was silly, he was goofy, I think Jonathan Majors gave, like, a tour de force performance.
Yeah.
He had a lot of words to say.
Yeah.
He had a lot of dialogue and just straight up
but like I said, it
monologue
was
to
also
deliver,
kind of like
so-
hard to pin down his behavior and sort of that, like, you called him a clown, and you're also saying, like, you didn't think he's not serious enough to
puckish.
be,
He
but,
was impish.
But at the same time, I also got the impression that he was just very sort of like giddy because, like, the implication was that he'd been there for eons and that this is the most interesting thing that's happened to him and that he's been waiting for this just as much as Sylvie's been waiting for this.
And so that, to the point where he was very casual when she straight up killed him. He was like, okay, catch you on the flip side.
And he was
like...
ready for anything. And at the moment when, like, he's like, oh, we've crossed the threshold, it was almost like...
He got nervous for a second.
Well, no, not necessarily nervous, but he also you could tell that it was like, it's like, I keep saying this, it's hard to pin down like a description of the way he was behaving, but it was very... I don't have a word for it, but he seemed like excited that it was happening, that he didn't know what was coming
this
next.
Is like the first time in a very, very long time that he hasn't literally
he was
had a
enjoying
transcript of what was about to happen.
Yeah. And another detail that I really liked, and I'm not entirely sure the metaphorical way to connect it, but the way that the Citadel was constructed in that way, that it looked like it had been shattered and put back together with the gold.
I can't remember the name of that art form, but that is a recognized, I want to say, Japanese art form where you put porcelain back together using gold leaf, and there's a philosophy.
I know there's a deeper metaphor for
there
the
is.
show here, but I can't.
The philosophy behind that art form, whose name I will look up before our live
it's
stream.
more beautiful after it's been broken.
It's a whole different piece. It's something that is more than the sum of its parts.
Mm-hmm.
Once it has been put back together that way, and there's the beauty in the destruction and the rebuilding, that it holds its own history as a part of its form.
So from my perspective, I'm wondering why Kang, who presumably that's his citadel, like, why would he have that, like, it's been shattered and put back together, like, why is that is he, because I guess because chaos, it's a metaphor for, like, he doesn't want the chaos. He wants the single timeline. He doesn't want the multi. He's always wanted. So, like, the shatteredness is the chaos. The pieces all.
Right. He put it back together after the multiversal war. He put this sacred timeline back together. I mean, there's a very facile metaphor in that, like, he healed the timeline out of the the broken, fractured universe, multiverse.
Yeah.
But I think that there is something deeper there that we'll have to like digest and think about for a while, about things being more than this sum.
Yeah, and I'm thinking back to like the beginning of the year with WandaVision and how we were all predicting that like, oh, this is how we get multiverse. This is we're gonna get Spider-Man and all that. It's gonna come now because Wanda's gonna like open everything up.
Well, she's coming back in Doctor Strange, which is the multiverse of madness.
Wanda, Doctor Strange, Kang, Loki, all this stuff
Ant-Man, which is quantum realm.
Yeah.
So we've got the quantum realm, we've got the multiverse, we've got all kinds of things.
But Wanda didn't end up creating the multiverse. Like we just watched.
Right.
Sylvie is actually now essentially the one that just caused this to happen. She killed Kang.
So there are
presumably there's
so many
Kangs
lingering
now.
questions. Not only what Loki's going to do in this random timeline he's now cast into, but what Sylvie's going to do next.
Mm-hmm. How does she even get out of there?
Right, exactly.
His little temp pad, like the light went out.
How does she get out of there?
Yeah.
Temporally, where does she go from here? What's the deal with Eliath? She enchanted him. He went to sleep.
And in infinite timelines, how does our Loki and our Sylvie reunite? Like,
right. How did they reunite our
even,
Mobius, our B-15? Where did Ravonna go when she went through that door?
She said she was looking for free will.
When did she go?
Yeah.
You know, there's still a lot of.
And we know from the comics that Ravonna and Kang are like an item, so like that's gonna, they're gonna converge in some way.
We never saw her Kang phone, nor did we get to see a jet ski.
Yeah.
Very disappointed personally by the absence of a
no,
jet
season 2 though. Season 2.
There's
it's
still
official.
season 2.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that'll be like the finale of the whole show.
Yeah.
The jet ski episode.
We knew that was coming, but that little, the stamp saying season 2 coming or whatever, that served as the post credit essentially for this.
I have a lot of thoughts, like a lot of.
Another question I have is that like, Kang the Conqueror is this, important figure who's this upcoming villain. We know he's coming. He's going to be a major antagonist moving forward. But, we just saw like, presumably like the original Kang the Conqueror who was from the 21st century or the 31st century.
Yeah, whatever year it was.
41st century. Yeah. But, Sylvie just killed that one, and he was excited to announce that, like, infinite variants of himself are now going to be controlling all of the, multiverses, and there's just going to be a giant war now.
Yeah,
but
if you think I'm bad, look at the others.
How do we get back to, like, singular Kang so that we're not just like, oh, there's infinite Kangs, and there's going to be... We want to have, like, a single bad guy version of Kang. So, like, I'm wondering if there's going to, like... be a main Kang again, or if they're going to,
if no one's all good or all bad.
Because he implied like, only, some of me are good and some of me are bad, just like Loki.
If no one's all good or all bad, and if people are redeemable,
like, are we gonna meet good Kangs? Like, if there's infinite Kangs,
are there good Kangs?
Some of them must be good.
Fight back?
Yeah.
I was struck by that when he was doing his little exposition. He had that little like claymation show he did, which was a sort of a hearkening back to the Miss Minutes animation where she explained the timekeepers, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, okay, that was a lie, but like, let me show you a new cartoon that's the true story. And I was struck by like, yeah, but he doesn't know everything. This is just one variant who managed to wrangle the whole world, It's like he's Jesus, right? He was in the right time, in the right place, and he managed to get the entire world to follow him. And that doesn't mean he knows everything. I mean, there could be other Kangs with a much better idea than his about how to solve this multiverse problem. There might be Kangs who are equally powerful, but who have the moral resources to help them.
Yeah.
Right? So
he knew everything from his own timeline, obviously, because he was like, at first I was like, wait, is he like teleporting? I thought Kang didn't have powers, but then I was like, oh wait, no, he was just using a temp pad, and he had pre-programmed every move he needs to make, even like moving 2 feet to avoid getting stabbed or whatever. He had it all pre-programmed, so he had that, his timeline. He'd seen everything. He knew everything.
I just don't think that like freeing the timeline can ultimately be a bad thing. You're using the word freedom.
Yeah.
Where we've been in a authoritarian, fascist universe, and now we're in a universe of free will, and I don't think that can possibly be a bad thing, even though it's going to be messy in the meantime. Like, slavery is bad.
Yeah.
I feel pretty comfortable saying that, like, as an unqualified statement. Like, it just is. Slavery is bad. And this is going to get really messy. But I think that's the price you have to pay for revolution and for, a world where people get to make their own decisions. All people, all the different people who disagree with each other get to make their own choices. And you've got to find the harmony in that discord somehow. But they will because it's a Disney show.
There were a lot of little cool details in this episode that we have to go back and pick them out. Like for instance, like we finally like the pen that he kept looking at from Ravonna. We find out that she was a teacher or like principal at that school in 2018. So we know the origin of Renslayer.
Yeah.
But damn, dude,
yeah. We've got Eliath, which is this whole other thing. I feel like there's more to learn about that. It's like the nothing.
Yeah.
You know,
it comes the nothing.
It's like literally, it's not a hole. It's not black. It's nothing. Yeah. It comes around and eats time and dimensionality.
That's actually funny that you mentioned that because if Eliath is this creature that can like eat timelines,
right? Like
and
what
eat,
is
like,
that? What's
it may
the
know,
origin
but like
of that power?
you may they also may need to harness Eliath in the future in order to
clean up some of this.
So Eliath may become an ally in a way in the future.
Very large, scary Langolier.
If they can enchant Eliath to get there in the first place, they can enchant Eliath.
Oh, I'm sure we'll see more. That seems like that's too big of a huge
fight for them.
Like dimensionless power, something that is more powerful even than Kang. I mean, it seems like that's what he did. He managed to put a leash on that doggy, right, and tame it. But that it has the power even to eat him and his variants up.
Dude, the craziest part about the multiverse and infinite realities and infinite characters is that there's quite literally, not metaphorically, literally anything can happen.
Yeah.
There is no, like, you can make up any story and be like, it's that timeline.
That was a different universe.
Literally anything can happen.
I have said this before.
Which is a little hyper convenient for Marvel.
I have said this before and I will say it again. I trust Kevin Feige implicitly.
Yes, 100%.
But I very much hope that does not become a gimmick or like a default retcon.
It's dangerous territory.
I don't want a default retcon. I want them to earn their narrative. So I really hope that isn't something they just rely on too heavily as we go into the rest of this phase.
And there's one last thing. I mean, I don't want to like touch on it, like, but you know, there's the whole like they kissed and there was a.
I hate it. Yeah. To be fair,
that moment was aware of its cheesiness.
Yeah,
before it
the
even
whole thing has been. That doesn't make it less cheesy and it doesn't make it less awkward and vaguely inappropriate, but. To be fair, very much Team Sylvie, although that didn't go the way I think she was expecting. I still think she made the right decision.
She genuinely thought he was just manipulative liar like them.
But I think in that moment, he said something very sincere, that he just wanted her to be okay. It's probably the most sincere
I meant she thought Kang was lying. Right. And that's why she ended up deciding to kill him.
But in that moment, he said something very heartfelt and very touching. And you know, she just sort of like returned the heartfeltness of what he said.
I'll be perfectly honest. I was kind of unsure whether I should be trusting Loki in that moment. I'm like, is he still just being Loki, or has he pulled the world over our eyes?
He is still Loki. He is still the god of mischief. He's still that dude.
I was like, is he gonna actually try to be king right now? And we're gonna be like, no. Like, but
how much has he grown?
He was like, I just want to be with you.
I think with Loki, even the sort of OG sacred timeline Loki, who's dead.
Yeah.
Even at the moment where he sacrificed himself and made the right decision, and, you know, died at Thanos' hands, I think with him, it's always a moment-to-moment decision, right? Like, Loki has always been making the decision for himself in any given moment, and sometimes he ends up making the right decision.
Yeah.
And I think that was true here, too. Like, I think that was actually a very subtle performance Tom Hiddleston gave in this scene.
You know what,
but
though?
when we're uncertain, it's because the character himself is uncertain.
Yeah,
because the character
that's
himself
true.
Still skates on this very thin moral ice.
Yeah, you've also pointed out though that like the original our Loki, like we had like a decade with that character to like build him towards a moment, and that was a long journey that like we saw like the beginning, the middle, and end to. And then you've been pointing out every week in our live how like, well, in this show, in these couple of episodes,
like days.
He's had like a much shorter.
Yeah, he's had like a few days
compressed like time to like have the same journey, and you've kind of been saying like, is that like enough time for him to how does he, you know, because it's that quickly, like we can't trust that he's made the same psychological changes.
He's having an accelerated
here
process that he's going through. But
him saying that to Sylvie though is revealing that like he has gone through those changes.
If you think of his personality and his sort of mischievous approach that he's always had, right? Think of it in terms of like an addiction.
Yeah.
Right? If you're like, I'm quitting cigarettes, it's still very touch and go.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe it's been 5 weeks since you had your last cigarette, but you have to remind yourself at every moment that you have to suppress that craving, right?
Yeah, but for some people, it's cold turkey though.
But he had to go cold turkey with his own sort of personality.
Yeah,
and I think there's always
Sylvie's the reason though. She's
the reason. Yeah. She's like a great sponsor in this in this very messy metaphor, but like this very messy analogy that I'm drawing. But I think there is always that sort of touch and go. Like he has to remind himself to be good.
Yeah,
at every moment, he really wants to be. He genuinely wants to be good. But for some time, I think he's going to have to keep reminding himself to stay on the straight and narrow and not to fall back into his old
because
patterns.
Even he and Sylvie, like he was playing defensive and, he didn't want to hurt her or kill her. But, they had to have a little scuffle there because Sylvie didn't trust him to not. She was thinking like, no, you're trying to be king right now. So
well, and as she pointed out, she was pruned before he ever existed.
Even though he loves her and whatnot,
for a very long time. And I think like her priorities are still where they have, or at least up until this final moment, her priorities were still where they have always been. Has she grown attached to this dude?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, like she did take in that heartfelt thing he said, and she sincerely kissed him. Ew.
Mm-hmm.
But her priorities were still in order. Like the mission was still much more important to her than he was ultimately.
Yeah.
And for him, he was very focused on her. So,
I mean, dude, it's a setup for season two.
Season 2.
Really, that's what all this is. And like I had said in the beginning when we were kind of predicting what we thought was going to happen, we were saying like we might feel a little bit unsatisfied at the end of this because there's going to be more questions than answers.
Yeah, I don't find that unsatisfying. I was expecting to have open-ended questions, and they've given us like a wealth of problems to be addressed in season 2.
That kind of went exactly the way we predicted it would. No, and that like this is basically just gonna be a setup for season 2, and that like it's not gonna be the end here. This is just the beginning.
Right.
Yeah. Hey guys, this is crazy. We really want to hear from you.
Congratulations to Jonathan Majors on his Emmy nomination today,
really?
Well as being revealed. In this episode, he's had a
Don Cheadle, right?
Yeah, congratulations, Don Cheadle, for your 30 seconds of screen time. We love you, Carl Lumley.
Anyway, moving on. Guys, I would love to hear from you what you thought about this episode. Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want to see a fully unedited version of the reaction, go to patreon.com/JediJive. If you want to join the Jedi Jive Discord, I will put a link to that in the description below. We'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.
Bye.